Welcome aboard Crafto-sapiens. This is me Samira, and in today's video we will be making a small mini pizza, and since we need an oven to bake our pizza, we'll be making a small DIY oven to bake our pizza. The pizza is not edible, but it is a feast to your eyes and a treat to your toys. Right, Moni? Alright, let's begin. First, we'll see the things that are needed to make the oven. An empty soap box, a packing material like this, aluminum foil, some black chart paper, an OHP sheet, a detail knife. Please be careful while you use this, glue and some buttons. Here I'm using old plastic buttons that we get from card games like Ludo. I've painted them black and I'm using them for my oven. But if you don't have them, feel free to use any discarded items at home, or you can roll bits of newspaper instead of using the buttons. You'll also need a scissors, a ruler and a pencil. To make the oven, I'm taking an empty soap box and I'll be marking around wherever I need the door opening. Using the detail knife, I've cut all the four sides of the rectangle to make the door opening. I've then taken the aluminum packing material and have cut it on all four sides to make it flat. And then I've cut it into smaller pieces and I stuck these pieces to the inside of the oven. The parts where there are ridges go onto the sides of the oven so that we can insert and remove plates. And the part which is in the middle goes onto the front of the inside of the oven so that it gives a nice texture that is usually present in ovens. As you can see, I have taken an additional rectangular flap and have covered it with aluminum to close the inside of the right side of the oven. Now I'm sticking the aluminum foil with the ridges to this cardboard piece. And I'm sticking the portion with the pattern to the center or the front of the oven. Now I'm sticking the parts with the ridges on the left and right sides of the oven. In order to make the oven door, cut a rectangle from a black chart paper which is of the exact size of the door opening that we have removed before. Leave a little gap and cut another rectangle inside this rectangle. Now we'll take our OHP sheet and we'll stick it on this rectangular frame. As you can see, the door fits perfectly onto the door opening, and now it's time to make the door hinge. For that, I'm taking some sellotape and have stuck half part of the sellotape onto the door, and the other half part of the sellotape I'm sticking it on the inside of the oven. And as you can see, we have created the door. Now close the other side of the oven using glue. Here I've made the handle to the oven. It's very easy to make. You just need to take a strip of cardboard and you need to stick aluminum foil around it. Now carefully stick this handle onto the oven door and leave it to dry for around half an hour. Now once the basic structure of the oven is done, we are just left with the exteriors. It's up to you how you want to decorate the exterior of the oven. For that, I'm using aluminum foil. Aluminum foil has two sides. One is the top shiny layer and one is the matte layer. For this project, I'm going to be using the bottom side of the foil, the one that is not shiny but it is matte. It gives a very nice steel or metal effect to it. I got the buttons that are present on the side of the oven printed in color print, and this gives a very realistic look to your oven. Now I'm going to stick this to the side of the oven. Also, I'm going to paint the entire black portion of the oven in black acrylic paint so that it gives a nice shine and finish to the oven. The basic structure of the oven is completed, so now let's get into the details. At the bottom of the oven, I've marked 4 points, and now I'm sticking these Ludo pieces that I've painted black. Like I said before, if you don't have things like these, you can use rolled pieces of newspaper. To make the holes at the sides of the oven, I have taken a skewer stick and I have drawn lines on the aluminum foil. And at the bottom, I have drawn a rectangle. And I have done this on both the sides. Now we'll see how to make the tray that fits inside the oven. For that I have taken another cardboard box. I've cut it exactly so that it fits inside the oven. I've also stuck a little skewer stick so that the oven door fits perfectly when closed. So the oven is done. What time is it, you ask? Yes, it's time to make the pizza. For making the pizza, I'm using the following ingredients. Mind you, this pizza is not to be eaten. It's only for your dollhouse kitchen. Air dry clay, some talcum powder, some acrylic paint and some brushes to paint, and some soft pastels. This is optional, but it's better if you use them. Now let's see how to make the pizza. First, I'm going to take my air dry clay. There are two parts in the air dry clay that I'm using. One is the resin base and one is the hardener. So you need to mix equal quantities of both the resin base and the hardener, and I'm going to mix them well. You just need to take little amounts of each because we are going to be making a very tiny pizza that fits into our oven. Whenever you're working with air dry clay, always sprinkle your surface with some talcum powder so that the clay doesn't stick to the surface. So once I have sprinkled the talcum powder or the flour, I'm going to take my air dry clay and I'm going to mix it thoroughly. In India, we usually have pizzas with a very thick crust, and that's why I'm giving a very thick crust here. Now, in order to give some detailing for the cheese at the center, I'm going to be using a safety pin, and I'm just going to give small dots in the middle to create that texture of the cheese. So once the basic structure of the pizza is complete, we're going to set it aside to dry for around 4 to 5 hours, or you can even leave it overnight to dry. Once it's completely dry, it looks something like this. Now we're going to paint it using acrylic paints and soft pastel. Here I'm going to be using a mix of both white and yellow, and I'm going to be using brown soft pastel for the crust. Using a zero sized brush, I have given a base coat of yellow mixed with a little white to the entire pizza, and I have left it to dry for around an hour. I've also filled the edges of the inside circle with red paint, and using a dry soft brush, I have dabbed the pigment around the crust of the pizza. I've added some extra texture using some glue with the help of a brush, and I left it to dry completely for 8 hours straight. Once it's completely dry, I've painted over it using a light yellow color that resembles that of cheese, and I have left it to dry for a couple of hours. Once it's completely dry, it's time to make the toppings. Here I've given some olives, capsicum and tomatoes using a very small zero sized brush. Since our pizza is very small, the toppings are going to be microscopic, so be very careful while doing the toppings. So the pizza is complete. Now it's time to bake the pizza in our oven. Alright guys, so that ends the video. If you like this video, give this a thumbs up and comment down below. Let me know what videos you would like to see next, and subscribe to my channel so that you won't miss out my upcoming videos. I'll see you guys very soon. Until next time, bye bye.